So first of all, welcome everybody. Thank you again to Mrs. Lichter for hosting us and welcoming us into her house. We appreciate it so much. And thank you to Mrs. Portowitz for organizing and getting this going. And it should be a schus for Refuah Shlema, for Rafael Avram Yitzchak ben Gittel, Bezras Hashem. Im Shachar Yisrael. What?
Can we do another Refuah Shlema?
Sure, yeah. Moshe, also Refuah Shlema, a schus for Refuah Shlema for Moshe ben Fega Ruchama. B'soich Shachar Yisrael. Okay, let's get going. So we're gonna approach a topic today that once again we'll do the format like last time. We'll go through the concepts that the Nesivos Shalom brings out, and we'll see from a few other sources how to understand them, and then at the end we'll discuss how they maybe fit in a little bit to us, and then we can have some questions and comments at the end if we feel like it. So this concept, the main concept that we're going to learn today, is a very, very often discussed subject by the Nesivos Shalom and in other aspects of Chassidus and beyond. So let's see where the beyond comes from also. So we'll start like this. So the Nesivos Shalom starts like this. Parshas Vayeitzei shal ma'aseh ha'avos melamedes osanu ha'torah kadoshes darchei ha'avos ha'kadoshim b'avodas Hashem Yisbarach. We have all these parshas in the beginning of the Torah where the Torah is giving us over the lives of the avos and the imais. And every detail is important. As we know, we mentioned last time, the Torah is netzachis, the Torah is eternal. And every part of the Torah is important for each one of us all the time. So every step of the first parshas where we're learning the stories of Avram Avinu and Yaakov and Yitzchak and Yaakov and the imais, they're all there to tell us something. And we see this concept that with the avos began what's called the Olam HaTikun. Began the reparation of the world, right? We're here for a purpose, and the ultimate purpose is going to be finished with the coming of Mashiach, when the whole world, we have, what people sometimes call tikkun olam, which often in certain circles means recycling and taking care of the environment. Tikkun olam really, on a deep level, is a Kabbalistic concept, which means repairing the brokenness of the world and bringing the world to its ultimate purpose. Every time we fix one of our midos, we do mitzvahs, we learn Torah, we raise our family in the right way, we're fixing a certain part of the world, a certain part of existence of the universe. This is our job. And this is called Olam HaTikun, the world of Tikkun. And it began with Avram Avinu. And with Avram Avinu we learned certain things. And we saw that Avram Avinu went through 10 tests. And we learn from this in the deeper sources that every one of us goes through Asar Nisyonis. We go through 10 tests in our lives. We go through difficult times. Bezras Hashem, it's not constant. But we go through difficult times. And after we pass those tests, we go through those difficult times, we come out much stronger. We come out on a higher level. And Avram's main way of getting through this was with his midah of Ahava and Chesed, which we know is his main midah. And that's what Avram Avinu was masakein. And so too, all the avos were masakein something, and the last three of the midos, which are Chochma, Bina, and Das, or Keser, Bina, and Chochma, are going to be masukan by Melech HaMashiach himself. That's what we're still trying to work towards. But Yaakov's part in this whole thing, the Parshas Vayeitzei, is the Parsha of Yaakov Avinu. And listen to how he explains it. This Parsha of Yaakov Avinu, Ha'isekes u'mesaperes eich yotze Yaakov el ha'olam. The whole story, it's totally amazing that the preciousness of each letter of the Torah is infinite. And by Yaakov Avinu, different from all the other avos, it's literally telling these little strange details of his life and how he had to raise sheep and how he had to have dealings with Lavan HaRasha. And every little detail that he had to do, how he interacted financially. It's very strange. What do we learn from this? What's that teaching us? If the Torah is netzachis and it's important for us, what's it there to teach me? And you see also Avram Avinu. By the way, he was. There's another aspect to the Torah. I think you could divide the Torah into three parts. You have mitzvahs aseh, mitzvahs lois aseh, and then you have what's called inyane rishus. Mitzvahs aseh, all the do mitzvahs, the positive mitzvahs, right? So they're 248 positive mitzvahs. So you see also Avram Avinu's name is Gematria 248. Avram Avinu is the Ahava. He's the Chesed. Chesed means to flow, means to do. Avram Avinu represents the doing mitzvahs, the mitzvahs aseh. Yitzchak Avinu, what's his essence? His essence is Gevura and Yira. Pachad Yitzchak, he's called, right? That's Yira. Yira is the essence of mitzvahs lois aseh, the things we can't do, right? Doing things is more of a flow of Chesed and Ahava, and not doing things is like a restraint, right? So that's what Yitzchak is. And Yaakov Avinu is in this realm of what's called Inyane Rishus. Inyane Rishus means the things that are not a mitzvah, not an aseh, and not a leis aseh. Within the realm of what I'm allowed to do, there's a separate existence of a Jew. And it goes like this. So he says like this, V'Yaakov Avinu, hu yesoid ha-Torah l'Inyane Rishus, kamoid amru, v'yada oichezes ba'akev Esav, his hand was holding on to the heel of Esav, and Akev, the heel, which is the essence of his name, is Rashi Tevis, Kadesh Atzmecha B'Mutter. Sanctify yourself, become holy yourself with that which is mutter. So, because Yaakov, he made a Torah Shlema, Michol Inyane Rishus. And also we see that Yaakov was Mesake, and all the Avos were Mesake in one of the tefillas. So Avram Avinu was Mesake in Shacharis, Yitzchak Avinu was Mesake in Mincha, and what was Yaakov Avinu Mesake in? Arvis, Ma'ariv, which is what? The halacha says that Ma'ariv is Rishus. Shacharis and Mincha are a chiyuv, Gamor. I mean, we basically treat Ma'ariv like a chiyuv. But there's discussion in the Gemara, and it comes out that really Ma'ariv is a Rishus. Meaning, you can choose to daven Ma'ariv. It's not a chiyuv in the same way that the other two are. No one really treats it this way nowadays, of course. But that's the Havamina. So this, when I first heard this concept, first of all, this concept is mind-blowing, it's totally amazing. Kadesh atzmacha b'muter lach. Right? Sanctify yourself within the things that are allowed, that are mutter. That means that in our everyday activities, with the things that we do, like eating, like sleeping, like the way a husband and wife interact with one another, physically and emotionally and spiritually, those things that are just part of my daily life that I'm allowed to do. There is a way to behave, there is a mitzvah in there to behave a certain way that is above and beyond just the written rules of the Torah. Okay? So that means that there's we see it said that Efshar Liyos Menuval Bereshus Torah. It's possible to be a disgusting person within the guidelines of the Torah. Meaning what? We could have filled up this whole table with all kinds of food, and we could have made the learning secondary, and we could have been having this tremendous suda of gashmias and eating till we're full and even more, and just being like a chazer and eating so much, and we could eat in a way. A person can eat in a way that's disgusting. A person can interact with someone in a way that is disgusting. A husband and wife can be together in a way that is disgusting, right? So there's a way to exist which is not defined by the 613 mitzvahs, above and beyond. Also, by the way, it says in the Zohar that, Rabbi Nachman brings this out a lot also, that it's Efshar Liyos Talmud Chacham v'Rosh Gamor. It's possible to be a Talmud Chacham. Did we say this last time?
No.
It's possible to be a Talmud Chacham and a Rasha Gamor. You can have a person who learns all day and all night, and they have a lot of knowledge in their head, but they are a terrible person. How that can happen, it doesn't make sense to us that the Torah could come into someone and they could still be tameh. We could talk about that another time. It's very obvious. We know that the Torah could be either a Sam Hamavis or a Sam Achayim, depending on the person learning it. It could be poison, or it can be life-giving. So, point being, is that within all the rules, within everything, there's a way to exist that is above and beyond everything else. So when I first heard this, I thought this is an amazing idea, that every one of our daily activities, the way we live our lives, there's a way to reach a higher level and to connect to Hashem through those everyday things. And I thought to myself, this is for sure some kind of Hasidische Wort, but the first person who, I mean, maybe not the first place where I've seen this concept is none other than the Heilige Ramban, by the mitzvah of Kedusha, Kedoshim Tiyu. So what does it mean to be Kadosh? What does it mean, the mitzvah of Kedusha? And the Ramban explains, using this term over there, Kadesh atzmecha b'muter lach. It means that there's an existence of Kedusha that is above and beyond everything else. All the way from the times of the Ramban, this Inyan exists. And this is what Kedusha means. This is what it means to be Kadosh. And Yaakov Avinu is called, we say in benching, Kedoshenu Kadosh Yaakov. Right? This is Yaakov's existence. And this is why all of these aspects in the Chumash of his daily life are brought out in the regular words of the Chumash. Right? Listen to these words. So, before we get there, listen to this. Like Chazal say, Yaakov Shemekol Zeh Naisa Torah Shlema. Uba Beis Avram, who was one of the earlier Slonim Rebbeim, Ala Pasuk Vayokom Yaakov Vayisa Esbanov Ve'esnoshav Al Hagamolim. Yaakov came and he lifted up his children and his wives and everything onto the camels. Shemevi Hamaisa Merav. So he brings a Maisa from which we're not going to say right now. But the inyan is that he lifted everything up. He didn't just have children and just, make sure that they weren't destroying the house. He took those children, Yisa Banav, he lifted them up, he raised them up. He didn't just have a relationship with to him, his wife wasn't just the person who cooks him food every day and someone to not get lonely with. Right? His wife, he lifted her up. He raised her up. She was a Malka. He lifted her up. Right? This is the existence. All of this regular aspects of life to be lifted up. So, these parshas are filled with this aspect of Yaakov Avinu's life. So, I want to ask you guys this. Now, listen to this. I had to bring a chumash that has English in it because these things are so strange and so hard to understand, and I don't think anybody knows what they really mean. We have an inkling that we'll see over here now. But, so listen to this. Torah says, Vayikach leYaakov makal livnelach veluz va'armon. So Yaakov Avinu took sticks, fresh sticks of different kinds of wood, which are poplar, hazel, and chestnut. V'yafatzel behen petzalos, levanos machzev, and he v'yafatzel is a psalos. Does anybody know what this means? Anybody thought ever what this means? First of all, just simple English. What does it mean? Right? And what did he do with them? He peeled them and stood them up, like he peeled into them, like took the bark off, made white streaks in them, white stripes. This is v'yafatzel petzalos in them. This is what he did on the staffs. And he stuck these sticks that he peeled into the rahatim, which, in case you didn't know, so we understand what it really means, are runnels. Right, runnels. Now that we know what that is, so now we can move on, right? Nobody knows what runnel. What are we talking about here? Right? So he stuck them into the water trough where the animals feed. Right? And the place where they come to feed, and then these rods would cause them to heat up physically, and then when they would come to eat, and then when they got all heated up, then they would mate, and then listen to this: Vayechemu hatzoin es hamakles vateladna hatzoin. So they would get heated up from this, and then they would give birth to akudim, nikudim, uteluyim. They would give birth to sheep that were ringed, speckled, and spotted. Okay, everybody remember this? Any clue? Any idea? Why is the Torah telling us this? This whole thing, and there's more. And then they make a deal that these ones go to Lavan, these ones go to Yaakov. But the Torah is telling us right now, kids, can you imagine? The Torah is telling us that some of the sheep had rings on them, and some of them had stripes on them. and some of them had spots on them. I know, that's exciting. I can see the sheep in my mind, but why is the Torah telling us this? Every word of the Torah is so important. Why is it telling us this? Right? So we see from here that the Torah is giving us over the little details of Yaakov Avinu's life. Very strange. Now, I brought with me, just to make this point, because it helps to see the Sefer just to make the point. This is a Sefer called Oitzer Chaim. It's one of the Kisvei Harizal. It's a Kabbalah Sefer. And I didn't have to bring the Sefer, but sometimes, just so people believe me and understand what it really says, I like to bring it. So if you look in the different sections of the Kisvei Harizal, we have over here, the first section is called Shar HaAkudim. That's one of the sheep, Akudim. The next section is Shar HaNikudim. This is the fundamental explanation of the nature of the entire universe, is what we're talking about here in Kabbalah. And the headings are Akudim, Nikudim, and then Berudim. These are the main sections of understanding the makeup and the Kabbalistic basis of the entire universe, are hidden within these few words of Yaakov Avinu and his actions of making these sheep. So what does that mean? It means that while he was doing this, there was something else much greater going on. He had, like the Nesivos Shalom says, Kavanes Elyonis. He was living in a different world while he was breeding sheep and while he was making a deal with Lavan Harasha. Right? So what do we understand from this? It means that within Olam Hazeh, within the actions that we do in this world, there is the ability to elevate those to a much higher level. There's a way to go shopping with Kedusha. There's a way to take care of children with Kedusha. There's a way to go to work with Kedusha. And there's a way, like we were saying, there's a way to go to Yeshiva or Kollel, not B'Kedusha. And that also needs to be done B'Kedusha. Right? So this is the life of Yaakov, and this is what's going on with him. So there's a little Maisa he brings over here by let's see what he says it over here by. Yeah, by the Saba Kadisha, that they came into him, and during the Shabbos of Parshas Vayeitzei, he didn't say over any Torah. He always spoke Torah over during Shabbos. He didn't say over any Torah. And afterwards, his Talmud asked him, why didn't you say over Torah? What's going on? We all came. Everyone's expecting to hear Torah. You didn't say over any Torah. And he explained this exact concept, that the whole inyan over here of Parshas Vayeitzei is that Yaakov made out of his whole life, everything that he did becomes a Torah Shlema. The fact that he just was living his life and doing the things that he had to do, that became a chelik of Torah. Just living is a chelik of Torah, taking care of your daily things. So he embodied that during that Shabbos. He didn't say over Torah. He made sure that he was living and having kavana every aspect of Shabbos, while he's eating, while he's going to shul, while he's resting, whatever he's doing was all a Torah Shlema in Kedusha living, in Olam Hazeh, right? Let's go a little bit weiter. So, yeah. So like this. We see there's two things that happen next in the Parsha. We see the inyan of the Sulam, the ladder, and we see the inyan of the Be'eres, the wells that are dug. The well, when he went to meet Rachel for the first time, there's a big stone on the well, and he moved off the stone, right? So how does this connect? What's the Torah telling us, the way that this connects? So, listen to this. I'm going to read this out loud. So when Yaakov Avinu, kasher yotza mi Beersheva, v'haya achar samach gimel shanim beis Yitzchak. He was 63 years in the house of Yitzchak. V'yud daled shanim eitzel Ever. And he was 63 years in the house of Yitzchak Avinu. Pretty good upbringing. 14 years in the yeshiva of Shem and Ever. Sheba'oisem shanim higia lamadrega al yana biyos. He got to the highest level. Shenikra bechir ha'avos. He's called the choicest of all the avos. This is what he did. His kaddish because he got to a tremendous high level of kedusha. Kamosh amru chazal. Shaya ben pei dalet shanim. He was 84 years old. Veloy ra'a tuma beyamav. And he didn't see ever anything tameh in his life. He grew up in the Beis Yitzchak, right? The house of Avram Avinu, basically. He grew up there. And we're trying to keep our kids from seeing the worst things possible that they never would have seen. That's what our job is right now. We're trying to keep our kids from not seeing like pritzis and the biggest tumah that's always everywhere. Right? And we try, and we can't be completely successful. We see there's just walking down the street, there's things that people shouldn't see. And there it is, like it's never been in history. Unbelievable. The way people dress today, it's like, can you imagine if someone from a couple hundred years ago stepped onto our street and saw what some women are wearing nowadays? They wouldn't even believe it. It's like they're not wearing any clothing. It's unbelievable. And we're trying to protect this. Yaakov Avinu, not 84 years in Kodesh Kodashim. Nothing. No not even a drop of tumah. That's where he was holding. So what was he doing now? Well, what happened to him over here? Umeshech kol hashanim halalu haya Kodesh Kodashim. He was a Kodesh Kodashim this whole time. But he never ran into this aspect of Inyane Rishus. Now, va'ata yoytzei charana lacharana shel olam. He's going out into charana. He's going into charana shel olam. The I guess you call it the anger of the world. Li'nyane ha'olam hazeh. He's going into Inyane olam hazeh now. Umutal alav lakadesh es kol Inyane harishus. And now it's on him to be mekadesh all these aspects of rishus. Va'alkein ne'mar vayifga b'makom. That's why the pasuk says vayifga b'makom. He was pageya. He got stopped. He got hit with that place that he was in. Kamaymar Chazal, like Chazal say in the Medrash Rabbah, Bikesh Lavor, he wanted to go, he wanted to be moving, to go to where he had to go, to find a wife. Nasa Oilam Kuloi Kamin Kaisel Lefanav. The whole world became like a wall in front of him. Says the Medrash. Sheyakov Haray Haya Kodesh Kodashim. Yaakov was Kodesh Kodashim. Like the Medrash says, Shah Malachim Ra'u Zivi Kunoi. They saw that his face, his spiritual image, was carved onto the divine chariot, the Merkava, in the upper worlds. And now he's coming to go into the world, to be masakein these things that are rishus, these gashmias basically. Namdu b'fanav kakir. They stood up against him like a wall. Kol Inyane Olam Hazeh, Inyane Rishus, all this aspects of Olam Hazeh and Rishus. Aye haderech likanes lezeh ha'olam hashafal. How can I go into the world, this lowly world? How could Yaakov go from 84 years of Kodesh Kodashim? The high, like we can't even imagine. As every single Rosh Hashiva has always said, the words, if Yaakov Avinu would stand in front of us, we would burn up. Right? We couldn't handle the ruchnias that's there. He was Kodesh Kodashim, a different existence. And now he's got to go from that place into the lowest of the low. He's going to Lavan HaRasha. He's going to the lowest of the low. How can he do it? Okay, so now we're getting to the tikkun. Vayach. So he had a dream. V'hinei sulam mutzav arza. There was a ladder stuck into the ground. V'roshay megia shamayma. And its head is in Shamayim. Shebezeh herala Kodesh Baruch Hu esat tshuva al ma sheheik loy al alev. Hashem is showing him in this dream the answer. What is bothering him so much about how he's going to proceed? Kinyane olam hazeh kulam mutzav arza. Inyane olam hazeh, living in this world, is being stuck into the ground. The fact that the ladder is stuck into the ground is teaching him this aspect. Asher Roshe Megia Shemayim, but its head is in Shemayim. Adam Oisik B'nyane Artzim. Through the fact that a person is working and is involved in Olam Hazeh things. Yochel Hagil Madregas Hagavois B'yos. He can get mamish to the highest levels. Va'ad Roshe Megia Shemayim, until his head, his top is in Shemayim. Shedavka Not only that, but davka, derech hanyanim artzim, hashvalim, yachal Yisrael. It's davka from those low places of materialism, not materialism, of gashmias, of living in the world, that we can get up and we can rise up to those levels. Dal yadeshem is gabar al taivosav, through overcoming our taivas, our physical desires. Magia lemedregas el yonis, we can get to the highest levels b'yoser. Kamaymar harav hakadosh hamagid mezrich, like the Mezrich Magid said, Mala haaretz kinyanecha. Everyone's heard this pasuk before. Mala haaretz kinyanecha. Usually it's translated as the whole world is filled with those things that you own, Hashem. But the way that the Magid teaches it is sha'olam ha'artzi, the physical world, hu male inyanim, it's filled with things she'efshar bahem liknoisei Hashem yisbarach, that you can acquire Hashem. You can acquire your relationship with Hashem through olam hazeh. Mala ha'aretz kinyanecha. The world is full of the things that I can acquire my connection to you, Hashem. So, this is what Hashem was showing him. This is the sulam. Yeah, you know what? You're going out into the world now. You're leaving Kodesh Kodashim, and you have to be Oisek in Olam Hazeh. How do you do it? How are you going to get through it? You have to know that those very things that you're entering into is the ladder, is the elevator that's going to give you a connection to Rosh Hashanayim. It's going to give you the connection to Hashem. Not that those things are stopping you. And not that those things, your regular everyday life things, eating, right, drinking, interacting with people, not that those are pulling you away from Kedusha. It's bedavka through those that you're going to get to Shamayim. Bedavka through those. And the Sulam also, the Arizal brings, is a remez to the inyan of the Midah of Yesoid. The Midah of Yesoid specifically refers to what's called Taivas Niyuf, the intimate Taivas, but it also refers to lower physical things. That's what the Sulam represents, says the Arizal. And it's through that Bedavka that you can get to Shemayim, that you can get to the highest level. V'hinei, Malachei Elokim, Oilim v'yordim ba. Malachei Elokim, how does this usually translated? The angels of Hashem are going up and down the ladder. Malachei Elokim, we see this in many places, is referring to tzaddikim, oivdei Hashem, the holy people. Oilim v'yordim boy, they go up and down this sulam, this ladder. Kol aliyosam, hey ma'yedei midazu, they are able to go up and down this. In other words, who are the holy people in the world? They're not the people. I'm sure you've all heard this before. But in Yiddishkeit, do we say that you should go off and be by yourself on the top of a mountain and meditate? This is not Yiddishkeit. You have to be part of the world. And through being part of the world and connecting it to Hashem, using it as a way to connect to Hashem, right? You are Malach Elokim, going up and down, using Mutzav Arza to get to Hashemayma. And you wouldn't be able to get these levels without existing in Olam Hazeh. And this is what the rest of the Pesukim say. This is the big one. V'zeo gam hemshech Pesukim. This is also what the rest of the Pesukim say. Vayikatz Yaakov mishnasei. Yaakov woke up from his sleep, and what did he say? Vayomer achein, yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh, v'anochi lo yadati. Wow, says Yaakov Avinu. There's Hashem here, and I didn't know. I didn't understand this. This is the big chiddush that Hashem gave to Yaakov Avinu over here. That in this existence of Olam Hazeh and of Inyan Rishus and everything that we have to do to physically interact with the world, Yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh. There's Hashem over here. It's not to be avoided. It's to be used to connect to Hashem. And specifically, bedavka in these realms of these lower level things, that's where we're able to get to this high level. So I don't know if you've heard of this concept before. Two main concepts we're seeing are this inyan of Kadesh Atzik Mutarlach and this concept of what's called in the Zohar Yerida Tzricha Aliyah, or Yerida Tachlis Aliyah sometimes. Depends on who's saying it over. And it means, this concept, that we probably, if we haven't heard it before, which maybe we have, we for sure all have felt it, definitely. Yerida Tachlis Aliyah, or Tzricha Aliyah, means that when I get something happen to me in my life, a Yerida, I go down in my connection to Hashem, in my avodas Hashem, sometimes in my emotional state, I face real difficulties, and it's mamish hard, and it's pulling me down. It is always, always, always only for the purpose of aliyah. It's only meant that through that, I will be able to get closer to Hashem. I'll be able to get to a higher level than I was ever at before. And sometimes a mashal to remember this, to think about it, is just, imagine you're jumping on a trampoline, right? In order to be able to jump high, you first have to crouch down. Just a mashal to remember. You have to get down before you can jump up very high. This is a principle in Ruchnis. Yerida Tachlis Aliyah. We always have to have a Yerida before we get an Aliyah. Our job is to understand these concepts and to work through them so that when we have them, we don't spend a lot of time in a Yerida. And we use it for the right purpose to achieve an Aliyah.
Sorry, it's Aliyah Tachas.
Yerida
Yerida Tachas Aliyah.
Tachlis Aliyah. Or Yerida
Or
Tzricha Aliyah. Yeah. It's backwards, I know. The Yerida is for the Tachlis of Aliyah. Yeah. Or is needed for an Aliyah. So he goes on to say, I don't want to take it too long. There's another aspect that he brings from the Be'er, that where can we get help in this? This is the first job, is that we have to work on Inyane Olam Hazeh, Inyane Rishus, our everyday lives. He also brings that one of the tools that we're given to help us achieve this is the very, very huge importance. I think it could be possibly one of the most important things in today's society, our firm society, is being part of a tzibur. We see that Evan, the stone, is one of the names that is brought. There's a bunch of different names that are given for the Yetzer Hara. The Gemara in Sukkah says, Echad Mizayin Hashemesh Shenikra Yetzer Hara Hu Evan. One of the 7 names that the Yetzer Hara is called is Evan. So Yaakov Avinu came over here, and he was about to open up the well. The well refers to the flow of Shefa, right? In Pashtus. The well is where you draw water, life-giving water, and you feed everyone who needs to be fed. It's a flow of Shefa in physicality, and it represents a flow of Shefa in spirituality, in Ruchnius. Yaakov came to remove the stone that is covering the Shefa. That's covering the Shefa. And it's not only there, it's the big stone. Ha'evan ha'gedola al pi ha'be'er. Why? Because this is Yaakov's struggle. Is to interact within the world and make that holy. It wasn't hard for him to grow up in the house of Yitzchak and be holy. Right? What's hard for him is now to go into the world and do it. This is the Evan HaGedolah. This is the big stone that's covering over here. So what did he do first? Pasuk says, V'nesivos Shalom kol ha'adarim v'galalu es ha'evan. First, he gathered together all of the adarim, all of the flocks and the shepherds. And then he alone opened the bear. But the first step is to gather together, is to come together and make a tzibur. And we see that there's all kinds of things that we can't do without a tzibur. So many things. First of all, you need a kohen lev in Yisrael to do all the mitzvahs, right? And we see all these concepts. There's so many beautiful concepts that a tzibur brings kedusha. And a tzibur, 10 people, the shechinah is there. The more people you have together, the more shechinah is, the more support there is. Nesivos Shalom says in another place, by the way, that a person should be moiser nefesh to sit together with other Jews on Shabbos and to say Torah and to sing and to make a real Shabbos. A person should be moiser nefesh to do this. I don't know how that exactly relates to Corona right now, but it seems pretty serious, right? Why? Because this is where we get our koyach from. We're Klal Yisrael. By the mitzvah of kedusha, it doesn't say kadosh tiyeh. You have to be kadosh. It says kadoshim tiyu. You, all of you, together, kadoshim have to be holy. It doesn't say, by the way, a big thing in Chassidus is you have to be a ben melech or a bas melech, right? Not just an eved. You have to remember that you're all princesses. We're all part of the royal family. We're all very important. But it doesn't say ben ata l'Hashem Elokecha or bas at l'Hashem Elokecha. It says banim atem l'Hashem Elokecha. And everyone darshans that only when we're banim, when we're together, right, are we banim l'Hashem Elokecha? We have to be together. This is, of course, I would say the main thrust of the shul that we have is being together, achdus, and respecting each other and helping each other out. It's very, very important. And Thornhill is very special about the Kollel. Thornhill Kollel also, right, is known to be like how did it become this huge place, big community, all interacting, all helping, all together. Very important. This is how we do it. So we have to have this. This is the way to start removing the stone and to get into this inyan. So we'll just finish off the Nesivos Shalom and then we'll bring it together here. So all the Giluyim that Yaakov made over here, all the revelations, Kadoshim, Kadosh Yaakov, when he went out into Olam Hazeh to fix up these, to make this tikkun, everything was revealed that this is his derech. This is how we learn this. And in the Divrei Shmuel, so he says like this: Vayisa Yaakov Raglav. This is another one of the tools that we're going to use. Vayisa Yaakov Raglav. Yaakov lifted up his feet. After this, to go to where he had to go, he lifted up his feet. That the Rosh Tevis of this pasuk are b'gematria Yira. That Yaakov, from that point, when Hashem showed him this vision of the ladder, and Hashem explained to him through the Be'er what has to happen, he took with him his Yira. He has to have Yira. B'yotzim Kodesh Kadashim, going out from the house of Yaakov, from Yitzhak, the Kodesh Kadashim, and knowing that the whole world is filled, Mal Haaretz Kinyanecha, the whole world is a place where I can connect to Hashem, right? So he went in this way. He went in this way with that knowledge always on his mind, with this Yira, that in every place I know Hashem is there. I know Hashem is there, and I can take what I brought with me. I can take that out into Olam Hazeh. And a pasuk from Eishes Chaya, Kamaymar Mara Nasab Kiddush Mislanim, like the original Slonim Rebbe said, Ala pasuk, Sheker Achein Vahevel Hayofi, Isha Yiras Hashem Hi Tishalal. So the vanity of charm and the vanity of beauty, right? Sheker Achein. There's a real Chein, and then there's Sheker Achein. There's real Yofi, and then there's Hevel Yofi, right? Isha Yiras Hashem. So he says like this: Lehagia lamida zu shal sheker achein v'hevel hayofi Isha. It's particularly important. This is really talking to the essence of a lady. To get to this level of sheker achein v'hevel hayofi Isha. That's what an Isha is. Sheker achein v'hevel hayofi. To get to that level, Yiras Hashem. Tishalal. You need to have the Yiras Hashem. That has to be the beginning. And from that place, we're able to then dive into this world and become that person. We'll explain this in a second. So the last point is, just to wind it all up. Upasik zeh, Vayisa Yaakov Raglav, Hu Hakdama Lechol HaParsha. This pasuk, that Yaakov lifted up his feet. This is a Hakdama. This is the introduction to the whole entire Parsha. Ha'esekes be'inyan Eich sheYaakov nasa Isha Veik sheholid banim. It's an introduction to how Yaakov Avinu went and was oisek in Olam Hazeh, and how he married a lady, and how he had children. Shiftei Ka, the holy Shvatim. Ves kol ha'asakim she'asak behem akudim nekudim brudim. How he went through all this asek of the different types of sheep, and the spotted and the speckled and the ringed, right? Until all of that stuff became a chelik haTorah, became part of the Torah. Hakol hu mikoyach vayisa Yaakov raglav. It's all from this hakdama that Yaakov lifted up his legs. The legs represent the lower aspects of existence, taivas, with Yesod, with Achila, with living in the world, all these aspects that we consider lowly. You know, how do I get the kids to school on time? How do we make food that every single child in the house will eat? I don't know if anyone else has this problem, but it's like an impossible puzzle to solve. Can we make one dinner that everyone likes? Does such a thing exist in any household in the world? I don't know. These are all the like Olam Hazeh things. And how do I not make that drive me crazy? And how do I turn that into not just the same thing every day. The same thing over and over again. I'm just cooking. This is the way that an animal lives. An animal just gets food and eats it. And that's all they think about. Is that all we think about every day? Right? Is there more to our existence than just feeding the animals that we all are and dealing with all these things that we have to deal with? Is that it? Right? Yaakov Avinu is showing us that it's not only is there more to it, but it's bedavka through that existence that we can reach tremendously high levels. Tremendously high levels. Quickly, everybody's familiar with the Nesivos Shalom, I'm sure, but this is something that is very, very clear in the Nesivos Shalom. It says like this. So, I'm sure we all know, but I'll just say it one more time. The Nesivos Shalom is a sefer that goes through 13 steps from, I guess, 0 to Ruach HaKodesh. Steps to follow to get to a very, very high level of existence. The last step before Ruach HaKodesh is Kedusha. And before that is Precious. Kedusha is what we're talking about. And Precious is separating oneself from Olam Hazeh. Is really separating oneself from Achila. Separating from working in Olam Hazeh. It's a high level. But the highest level is Kedusha. And he explains it like this. Listen to how sweet this is. This is so sweet. V'tira ata. Now you'll see ha'hefresh sheben ha'tahor lakadosh. The difference between tahara and kedusha. Ha'tahor maisav ha'chomriyim einam loy el hechrechim. He gets to such a level, this person, that that living in Olam Hazeh, yeah, I have to prepare dinner for my kids and my husband or my wife. I have to go and work to make money. I have to go do all these things. And I'm on such a high level that I realize that these are only things that I must do in order to take care of my family, to give us energy, to be able to be Ovdei Hashem. I realize this. That's the madrega of Tahara. He only does them because she knows she has to do these things. Just to raise up beautiful Talmidei Chachamim and Tzidkaniyos. That's what I have to do. Right? It's part of the thing that I have to do. So I go out from the ra, the negative, the negativity, the evil that could be within Olam Hazeh, the physicality, and I realize that I'm only using physicality to build people up, to bring them to a beautiful level of Kedusha, right? That's one level. L'chlal Kedusha loibahu. But that person has not gotten to the level of Kedusha yet. What does it mean to live in the level of Kedusha? Ki ilu haya efshar biltam. Because if he would be able to do without these things, he would do without these things. If I could raise up beautiful children and I could become a holy person without having to feed myself and do all these things, I would do it. Right? That's the level of Tahara. HaKadosh, Hadavek Tamid Lelekav, V'nafshay Mishaleches Bein HaMuskalos, HaMityos, Ba'avas Boirei Yisbarach. This holy person who is always davuk, is always connected and clinging, always to Hashem. And he's always going. He's traveling in the channels of truth with love for Hashem and yira. He's actively loving and having yiras Hashem. Hine nechshav loy kilu mishalech lifnei Hashem ba'artz tzachayim. His whole life, this person, is as if he's walking like in Gan Eden. He's walking with Hashem everywhere that this person goes. While she is still in this world. V'hine ish kazeh, and this person, hu ba'atzmai nechshav kamishkan. This person himself is considered a mishkan. The person himself is considered a mishkan. Kamikdash v'chamizbeach, like a mikdash and a mizbeach. And he goes on to say, such a person, their everyday actions of eating, to them are exactly the same as if they were the Kohen Gadol being makriv karbanos in the Beis HaMikdash. Meaning, there's some great pop culture references that would totally blow this open, but I'm going to leave it aside. Meaning, I've broken through the system, and I'm able to see in everything the Ribono Shel Olam. I'm able to see in everything how I can connect to Hashem. So now, as I'm walking through life, this morning, instead of waking up and being tired and angry that I had to wake up so early, and then rushing to try and get the kids to school, and being annoyed, why don't they move faster? Why don't they get up on time? I don't know, whatever. The different kids are different in every family, right? And I have to grab lunch, and I have to do this, and then we have to shop to get the stuff, and who's going to eat this, and who's going to eat that, and the problem we're talking about, getting food that everyone will eat, and going through all this stuff. And at the end of the day, a person can be frazzled, totally frazzled. Why? Because Olam Hazeh has taken me and swung me around and smacked me against the ground, and that's my day. And I have nothing left at the end. Right? Or a person can wake up in the morning, and from the moment they open their eyes, can say Moida Ani, really, really meaning it. And really thinking, now is the beginning of every moment of my day being an opportunity that everything in the world, Mala Aretz Kinyanecha, everything in the world is an opportunity for me to connect to Hashem. And when I'm waking up my kids, if it's difficult, then it means that I have to nurture them, and I have to figure out how to help them, and I have to understand why it's difficult for me. Every time I have an emotional reaction to something, it's an opportunity for me to realize that this is Hashem giving me a message. Why am I bothered by this? Why does this make me feel bad? This is an opportunity to listen to Hashem. Hashem's giving me a message. Every moment of my life is a message. And every moment I can have a kavanah, on a simpler level even, that I'm doing this l'shem Hashem. I'm doing this for the purpose of Kedusha. And as we said last week, one of the most important and best ways to do this is to be a person that talks to Hashem every day. Could be multiple times a day. If I'm talking to Hashem, then I really, like I always like to say, as if He's actually there. It means I really think Hashem's there. And as I'm going through my day, I'm living like this person who's a Kaddish. I'm walking through my day, and everywhere I'm really interacting with Hashem. I'm really interacting with Hashem because I'm talking to Him, and I know He's there. And every point where I have options to do different things in the world, in the realm of Rishus, I'm using it as an opportunity to connect to Hashem. And when I go shopping and I'm picking out food, I can be thinking, Ribono Shel Olam, thank you for giving me Sobeys of Thornhill, the kosher Sobeys, which has like everything we could possibly want. It's all there and it's easy. And I can be thinking about, I'm going to try and make food that's going to make people healthy. We're all going to be healthy. We're going to be able to serve Hashem with a healthy body. And I'm going to appreciate the fact that I'm in this place where there's, no real violence. There's almost no difficulties in our beautiful community of Thornhill here. Everything just goes so smoothly. We don't have to fear for anything. I can thank Hashem. I can appreciate that we're here. And I can use it as an opportunity to always be thinking and connecting to Hashem in each aspect of my life. So with this is the main idea over here. And a foundational point in the Pnimius HaTorah, originally from the Ramban, that goes through everything. And I want to suggest that we don't ever make the holy words of the Ramban, the Arizal, the Ramchal, the Nesivos Shalom, we don't ever make them Devarim Batelim. And we take them and we make an effort. We make an effort. Yaakov Avinu is showing us that every moment of our lives is an opportunity. Mal ha'aretz kinyanecha, everything in the world is an opportunity. And the last point, just from my own brain over here, is what would we do if there was something really important? Chas v'shalom, lo yaleinu, ever, if someone had a child that was not well, something serious came up, what would we do? Right away, the next day, right away, and the next day, we would be researching, we would be making phone calls, we would be thinking everything we could possibly do in every realm to help this child, because it would be top of our mind, and we would the importance of it would be on our minds. We owe it to ourselves to take this concept and make it important. Put it into our minds. Always be thinking about it. When we have this concept, it changes our lives. Once again, it really means living with emunah. Once again, emunah means that I'm living as if I really believe what I think I believe. It means living as if I really think Hashem is guiding me through my day and is really giving me the opportunity to connect to Him. This is what emunah really means. And if I make that important, if I make this aspect important, I can be, like the Nesivos Shalom said, I can be walking in Gan Eden in this world. I can see Hashem everywhere. I can experience ruchnius and inspiration and chizuk every moment of my life. So the way that we do this, of course, is to be always thanking Hashem for everything we have and appreciating that everything in my possession is a gift from Hashem to use for some holy purpose in the world and to connect to Hashem. And to always be working on emunah through tefillah and talking to Hashem and making sure that I really talk to Hashem like He's right there with me. And when I talk to Hashem, it means He's there. And it means I connect all my whole day to Him. And I connect everything that I'm doing to Hashem. And if I do this, I'm telling you, I know I said it last time, I don't know another way to gain emunah. I don't think there's another way. I guarantee that if a person does this, their life will change very quickly. Will become a holier person, a happier person, and will be able to see holiness in the world if we do this. So Be'ez Hashem, I hope next week we'll hear that homework was accomplished and we became holier over the week, God willing. Refuah Shlema for Rafael Avram Yitzchak ben Gittel, and for the other one that we said at the beginning, B'soich Shar Chayli Yisrael. Any questions or comments? Yeah, me too. It's exactly what we all need to hear. That's why he put it in the Torah. Yeah? Okay.